Okay, my name is Constantine, and I am from the DOT team. Very glad to meet you. And as I study business management, I'm really interested in the customer service. So I think it's my a great pleasure to have a chance joining these sections. Right.
Okay,
And
good.
on this, like on December 16, you provide like the customer service hackathon to supervisor and manager level from hotel industry. So in that webinar, that people they really wanted to join it, but they couldn't have a chance to join because they're not from the hotel industry. But for today webinar, like people from different background, different like industry, they are joining. So to some people, they already know you, but for those who don't know you already, could you please introduce yourself? Thank you.
Yes, okay. So, hi, I'm Tracy Cosgrove. I'm the founder of Passport to Success Myanmar and also VRHTI, which is a virtual reality training company. I've worked in Myanmar for over 10 years, and mainly it's been in the hospitality industry for soft skills, not the hard skills. So I haven't been telling people how to make a bed or how to set up a table. That's for the professionals who do that. I've been there to create the soft skills side of things, which is the more interpersonal connection.
Like you said, you're international consultant, a virtual trainer, a keynote speaker as well, and then you
Yeah.
have worked in Myanmar for a long time. So could you please like talk about like the experience of working with Myanmar people?
Okay, well, I first came to Myanmar nearly 20 years ago, and the first thing that hit me was the genuine side of Myanmar and the Myanmar people who, at this time 20 years ago, it was very hard. It wasn't an easy place to be living, but people were so giving, and it was within their nature. And even after working in many different countries, it was very enlightening to see the nature of people was so good.
Yes. Thank you. So, like, you have worked in the several countries. So, I want to ask you that what is the difference, the difference of customer service, like attitude in Myanmar and other countries?
Okay, well, that's quite a hard analogy because we're all human.
Yes.
So because we're all human, you can't compare a country and a country because we are all human. And even within every country, you have fantastic people and not so fantastic people. So the only thing I can share about that is depending on the service industry and depending on the training of the associate,
Yes.
comes through. So if people have been empowered by their mentor or their supervisor, this you can tell. And if they haven't, you can also tell. If they have to say, I have to go and speak to my manager, you know that there's a control.
Yes.
But country by country, no.
No, can't.
Human by human.
All right. Okay. Okay, thank you. So before I jump to the main contents of today's webinar, I want to ask some question, like curious question, because you have founded the virtual reality for hospitality training, right? And you've been providing like virtual training as well. So like in this nowadays, like because of this pandemic, we have to work and study online. So some
Yeah.
people they're really used to it. I mean, the online learning or virtual learning, but some they haven't not yet. So could you please share the roles of the virtual learning or training in this dynamic sphere?
Okay. So there's lots of different sections.
Yes.
So my virtual reality is extremely different than virtual learning, where you go through the computer or through a webinar. For the virtual reality,
Yes.
this is extremely customer-centered, interactive. So you are immersed within a 360-degree scenario.
Wow.
And depending on the action to
Yes.
your reaction is the consequence.
Yes.
So it's very, very interactive. It's not like this where you're just speaking. And it's not like online learning. So with the virtual reality learning, you either put on the headset, and depending on which answer you give, depends on the outcome. But you can feel the embodiment of it. So everything is filmed. So for instance, with the customer service sector, what we have, for instance, a lady coming into the shop. Depending on how you approach her will depend on the reaction and the end result. So, and you actually get the full embodiment feeling of it. So it's not just click, click, click. And you can also, if you don't like the reaction, you can go back and start again and see what the reaction would have been if you said something else, which is quite powerful.
Yes. Yes. It's the future, I think.
It's definitely the future. Virtual reality is the future.
Yes. So we can feel it, right? Like more interactive.
Absolutely. You can feel it. You're totally embodied in there.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing, because I get to know that what's the virtual realities, because it's quite different with the virtual learning, right? So
Yeah, very, very different. It's
all right.
it's very immersive.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I get to know a lot about the virtual reality. Thank you. Okay. I would like to jump to the main sections of today's webinar. So because I divided our talk into three main areas. So it will cover team development, the customer service, and also the workplace culture. So the first one, I like to start with the team development, because I think if we want to improve the customer service, we have to look back and improve the internet organization development first. So I would like you to talk about the team development. So what are the factors that influencing on the team development?
Okay. Well, yeah. So the first thing is we have to have the company culture. So we have the company culture and we have the company values. If people don't understand the company culture and their values, we already have lost it, because you have to understand as a team what your values are.
Yeah.
And recently I was working with an organization who had 4 different teams, and one of the teams was really not working together. They weren't working well together. And when I did an analysis of why this was, it was because of their values. Their core values were not aligned. And if they couldn't align their core values, they couldn't work as a team. So once they all understood each other and then they've now started to work in line together. So company culture and company values are extremely important. And so are your personal values. So within your team, if you don't want if you do not want the same thing as your team members,
Yes.
this can cause, this can cause a lot of problems. So that was the one thing that I would say is the most important right from the number one.
All right.
Know your company culture and values.
Right. So what about other factors? Like,
Okay, well, once you understand the company culture and values, then you have to consider your team and the empowerment of your team. We all know for many years, Myanmar was in a hierarchy situation. So within organizations, it was very much so a hierarchy situation,
yes.
which meant that many people who were coming in lower positions actually knew a lot more than the people in the higher position, because they had been studying or they'd been moving into different companies, and their general knowledge had grown. So this again is also to do with the empowerment. And many of the large companies, everybody doesn't know everything.
Yes.
You know, we all don't know everything. So you surround your people who know what you don't know. And we don't know what we don't know. So you should just surround your people with positive impact people who can build confidence and empowerment. And this is one of the things that I would say. We all don't know everything.
Yes. Right. So you mean like to like in team development, like the first thing is like know your own company culture and values, and then
Yeah,
like we have to give empowerment to our employee, right?
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Thank you. Okay. Then like in a team building or team development, like team member and leader they are involved. So, well, how that important like team leader and member involvement in team development process? How that?
Well, yeah, I think if you don't have the team leaders within the team development, you can't have your team.
Yes.
Everybody has to be interconnected.
All right.
You know, we learn through doing, and we learn through other people. And we should always be open to listen. You know, we should always, if I say something wrong, or if I propose something, I expect that my team, if they disagree, I expect them that they say, okay, I disagree, but they have to give me a solution. You know, they can't just say, oh, I disagree with that. Why? I don't know why. I just disagree. Well, then that's not that's not a disagreement. That's just a no, I don't like it. If people disagree with something or they come up with an idea, they should progress it and say, okay, I disagree because blah, 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 blah. Maybe we could do, so you then give a solution. So always make sure that if you want to question something, which I really say, question it. If you don't in your heart believe it, but give a solution. You know, you can be told, okay, no, we don't believe that solution is right because, but don't just harbor it. Don't just keep it yourself. Always think forward.
So like you mean like when we disagree something, we have to give the reason why we don't agree. Yes. Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Like you talk about the workplace culture as well. So can you talk about the how to align that workplace culture and the personality of employee? How we can align it?
Well, first of all, we know everybody's different.
Yes.
So we know everybody, but we all have to work together. So we all have to work together as a team to see what our differences are. I will give you an example in one of the companies. Many times years ago, we used to have people just take a job because it was a job. but they really didn't want to do that job. It was just because it was a job. This came through, you know, this clearly was shown. And only through coaching was this found out. So I was doing some coaching and I realized that this person was very, very good at a certain aspect, but they weren't allowed to do that job because they were good at the job they were doing.
Okay,
And
super.
because they were getting very good responses, their manager didn't want to give them to a different department. But this was detrimental to the person who was working there, because they would leave in the end if they weren't put in the correct position. So eventually they were moved to the correct position and they flourished. You know, they really did very, very well. So again, it's all about communication. You know, have the right people in the right job. And we understand that some people just are not the right people for the right job. Yeah.
So like, okay, thank you. And then like you mentioned about like the communication, like you have to improve communication like with your like employee, right? And
Yeah.
know what they are good at it, right? So
That's
so
right.
we have to align their like skills and our like tasks. Okay, so like how that the workplace culture can like shape the employee productivity and performance. If you have that experience, could you please share it? If you change like the better the workplace culture, and then you resulting in like the productivity, like, I mean increase in the employee productivity. If you have
Yeah.
that experience, could you please share it?
Yes, I mean, this again is something that doesn't come overnight.
Yes.
You have to work together,
All right.
and to work together and to create this. But I've seen this, and I've been part of creating a new company culture.
Yes.
And remembering that if you are in a customer centric place, we all have to be aligned.
Yes.
You know, and if one person, the first thing that happens in customer service is, if you walk into anywhere, say for instance, you walk into a bank. If you walk into a bank and the teller is like this and doesn't look at you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're not looking. You as the customer,
Yes.
all of a sudden are very angry because they're not looking at you.
Yes, of course.
So your embodiment is directly, your mood affects the customer within 1 second. So within that first few seconds, if you walk in and nobody greets you or nobody looks at you, already you've lost the customer. The customer is already getting annoyed. So this is one thing that we really have to make sure, that your mood has to be in the correct place. And without the culture and without the values, you're not going to get this mood. So you then would have to move that person to a different department that they should be in, that they feel they should be in.
Right.
Otherwise, you will have, if you put somebody in front who really doesn't want to be there, every single person walking in will know this, and you will get bad customer service.
Yes. So like you mentioned, like we have to care. We have to take care of our customer. So this is the one.
But not just care of the customer, you care for your staff first.
All right.
Happy staff is happy customer.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Now I would like to move on the last section, the last content, but the most important one. Okay, it's about the All right. It's about engaging customer service. So the
Yeah.
first one, like, you're expert in the customer service development. So could you please share the tools like we can use to improve our customer service for every industry? Like, yeah, general tips for the customer service skill. Could you please share it?
Yeah. So my tips are
Yes.
be true to yourself.
Mhm.
So you, first of all, you have to be true to yourself. If you're true to yourself, that you want to be in that position, working for that company, you can't fail, because this is something that comes through. It's in your blood. You know, a smile is a smile in any language. Sorry, excuse me. And we also have to understand, I have a cold today, 1 minute.
Oh, that's you. Okay.
So try to understand the customer needs, and try to think how you would feel in the customer's shoes. Do you want to be treated like that? You know, and if you don't want to be treated like that, why should you treat a customer like that? Sometimes, and I will tell you, this used to happen a lot and still does happen a lot. You would go into a company, even a shop or something, and especially in some of the big department stores in Myanmar, you walk in, they look at you, and they don't want to say, they don't even, as a foreigner, they would just, because maybe they don't, their English isn't very good, but they will just look away. They won't even smile. They're already closing their barrier, and if they just eye contact, if they just smile, no problem, and even by learning one phrase, "I'm sorry, I don't understand. I will get somebody for you." Even if they say this then is opening up, but the smile is a smile. And, you find, and this is when you know that they haven't received training, because this training could be done in 5 or 10 minutes. The first impression, if somebody comes up and you don't understand what they're saying, just learn one phrase, or even if that, just smile. When I was doing the training in the hotels, the very first people I used to really enjoy working with were the gardeners. You can imagine you're in a garden resort.
Uh-huh.
First people, you come out of your bungalow, the first people you see is the gardener watering the plants. If they cannot smile because they're too enclosed, if they can't smile and just say good morning, then already the guest is starting to, and this is the same everywhere. You walk into Myanmar Plaza, you go into a shop,
Yes.
they look and they run away. If their management had just said, okay, when the person comes in, just smile and slowly walk away, but not look and run away, because already we're like, oh gosh, just simple tips like this. And also it's good for you to, if you're in customer service, it's also good for you to understand when you have had bad service, why you believe that is. Don't just think, oh, and don't just think, oh, I won't go there because this. Understand why they were reacting like that. Because when things are good, hardly any, oh yes, yes, you know, that was really nice. You don't really think about it. But when things are bad, you tell everybody. Everybody who has bad customer service does not keep it to themselves. They tell everybody. And many times this can be avoided. So I would say for any managers and supervisors, they should always make sure that their line of communication is open both ways.
Right.
It's not a case of standing there and telling. They should also stand there and listen. Because the more open communication you have, the better customer service you will have.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I would. So anticipate the customer needs,
Mm-hmm.
but also mainly remember nobody's perfect.
Yes.
And, you know, sometimes we have a headache and we don't want to be speaking with people, but, you know, this can ricochet into very, very bad customer service.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. So like you talk about like we have to like communicate with customer like very well. You and some people some step they have to like they have to like we should provide the customer service training. Okay.
Yes.
So like you know.
Just one thing. It's not so much even just customer service training.
All right.
It's communication.
All right.
You know, it doesn't have to be just customer service training. This is life skills.
Mm-hmm.
So it's life skills, it's soft skills. How many times in school are you told to question things? You know, if we, as I said before, we don't know what we don't know. And if we haven't been put into a position where people might be questioning us, where people understand facial and body language, how are they supposed to know? So it's not just customer service training, it's human human networking. This is, you know, and how to communicate.
Yes. So it's like the communication, right? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, like you mentioned, like communication, like nowadays, like we use like many business owner or manager, they use like different method of communication, like phone call, in person, email marketing, or chatting. They use a lot of tools. So, what is your preferred method of the like communication with the customer?
Well, it's quite funny you should mention this because it's in Myanmar over the last 5 years, it's changed dramatically.
Yes.
No, before everything was face to face. Everything was now. Everybody has Viber groups for this, Viber groups for that. Facebook chat, you know, people expect an answer within a second. But maybe 1,000 people at that same time are sending the same message.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but we're so used to expecting that if it says read, people will answer. And then we get angry because people haven't responded. Or now the latest thing, the chat bot, you know, so it's an automated chat bot which will reply to you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes now you don't know whether you're speaking to a human or AI. And people don't even understand. Sometimes I'm also creating AI chatbots. And sometimes myself, I'm testing chat. So I'm testing the chat.
Right.
And I actually don't know if I'm speaking to a human, and I will write, are you human or are you a robot?
Yes.
And this is what is happening in Myanmar now also.
Mm-hmm.
People are expecting that straight away, oh, I sent you a message 10 minutes ago. Why haven't you responded? Okay, well, 1,300 people have sent me a message in the last 10 minutes. And also within companies, everybody has Viber groups for, as I mentioned, this.
Yes.
Can you imagine, you go to bed, you wake up the next morning, you have 130 Viber notifications. Are you going to sit there and read them all? No.
No.
You're not going to.
Yes.
So, you know, so this is one of the ease of technology has its problems. So, and a manager will then say, but I sent you a message at 3 a.m. I was sleeping.
Yes.
And look at how many messages there's been since then. You know, so we also have to look again behind it, and we have to set parameters. If we are going to speak to our team, we have to see how we're going to act. You know, people could spend 2 hours a day reading all the messages, and then they're not doing their job. Pick up the phone. If you want an answer, you pick up the phone and you ask. You know, or you go through Slack, you know, you create Slack teams or something like this, which then you can go and you can check anything under. But this reliance on Viber or on WhatsApp is just too, you know, too lucid. It's too lucid.
All right. So like in person or phone is more effective, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Like we still have time, so I will ask the audience if they have any question.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. အခုပေါ့နော်ဆွေးနွေးနေကြတဲ့ဆရာဆရာမများအနေနဲ့လည်းဒီ customer service development နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ဒီနည်းနည်းဆရာမေးခွန်းလေးရှိရင်ပေါ့နော်ဒီ comment box ကနေတစ်ဆင့်မေးလို့ရတယ်လို့ပေါ့နော်လူကိုယ်တိုင်လည်းမေးမြန်းလို့ရပါတယ်ရှင်ဆရာဆရာမများအားလုံးရှင်ဟုတ်ကဲ့အားလုံးမေးခွန်းလေးများရှိကြလားရှင်ဆရာဆရာမများကိုမေးချင်တယ်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ဒီစီးပွားရေးအတွက်ပေါ့နော်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်မှာတုံ့ပြန်နေရတဲ့ဒီ customer service ပိုင်းနဲ့အခက်အခဲလေးရှိရင်လည်းကို Miss Tracy နဲ့ပေါ့နော်တိုက်ရိုက်မေးမြန်းလို့ရပါတယ်ရှင်
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, Tracy. Good afternoon to you. Oh, I don't know how. Good evening.
Yeah. Good morning. I'm in the UK at the moment.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know your location exactly. So.
Yeah. No problem.
Okay. Yeah. I have one situation that I encountering right now in office.
Yeah.
And like what you have mentioned it, I try to change the company culture, not to afraid to talk to each other, and also try to share things when they feel it's not right or they feel that something can be improved. But
Yeah.
at the same time, how do we install the customer-centric culture, and also how to align each and individual personnel in the team to have a same value and same goal with the whole team?
Okay. So thank you for that. And I've been here many times with exactly what you have just said. So first of all, later I will give you my email address.
Sure.
And I will give you some information and some tools that you can share
Okay.
and how you can work with them. We will never 100% be able to get everybody on the same page because, as I mentioned, we're all human.
Yep.
But what we can do is we can understand where people have gaps. and we have to maneuver around this. So for example, with myself, I hate finance.
Okay.
You know, and I hate filing. You know,
Okay.
I write on paper. I'm a real writer, so I write lots and lots of notes.
Mm-hmm.
But then, because I draw lots of pictures, but then I will take a photo of all my notes. So, and then I will send them to somebody else to actually type all those up.
Okay.
And it's not because I don't want to do it myself. It's because for me, this is a waste of, you know, I don't like it. I would rather my notes be in a pile on my desk and the pile get higher and higher. But
Okay.
this annoys other people when they see the state of my desk.
Okay.
So it actually helps them by doing that because they don't want to see my desk a mess.
Okay.
So this is what we have to find. We have to find the key to what makes people tick.
Okay.
And even if we spend a few hours going through this type of process, this can create a dynamic team culture. So sometimes we have to stop and we go back to the beginning and we say, okay, let's just evaluate this. Especially if more people have come onto a team and already you've started to lose the dynamics because of friction, because of this. And at the end of the day, if it can't be worked out from then, you know, which sometimes it can't be fixed, we have to move on and think of another way. But it's once people understand their own values, we have people who, I'll give you an example. You might have somebody in the hotel industry. You might have somebody who has been working in housekeeping for 10 years.
Yep.
Who does not want to be a supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
Because they enjoy their job, they're enjoying what they're doing, and they're happy, very, very happy in their job. Somebody else comes in as their supervisor who doesn't know as much as they know and starts to, you know, to dig on, you know, to really push them. And that's because the person who's lower actually knows more than that person.
Understand.
But instead of doing that, they can be learning from them because this person is not a threat.
Yep.
You know, they're not a threat. They are there. They love their job. You have a fantastic person who's working for you. Why would you treat them as a threat?
Yep.
So it's actually not the lower level who you'd be working with. You would have to actually work with the supervisor because they're coming in with this power that is not necessarily channeled in the right direction. Whereas if that supervisor had come in, what do you think of this? Well, maybe they already know. Instead of the supervisor failing because the person who's actually loves their job and has been there for 10 years knows how it is, if they had asked them the question, what would you do? Oh, I would have done it this way. And then nobody's failing. So this is one of the very first things that we have to start with straight away, the company culture and getting people aligned, and this two-way communication, making sure that each line is flowing. So it's not top heavy, you know, it's coming from both ways. But I'm happy to send you my core values list and a module which I use with companies to check. I recently did this with a very large company, and it was amazing to see that 95% out of 120 core values, they only had 3, and 95% got the 3 out of 120.
Okay.
This is a fantastic customer-centered, knowing their core values.
Thank
But
you
I
very
will
much.
happily send that to you.
Sure. Thank you
Did
very
that
much.
answer your question?
Yeah, it is. And only one of the issue that I found out is there are people who are competent in their job, but like what you say, they don't like to become a supervisor, or they don't want to take up on the supervisory role.
That's right.
And yeah, sometimes it is a bit difficult because we know that they can do their job well and they can oversee the whole thing, but they just don't like.
That's right. Yeah. And these are fantastic people to have.
Yep.
Because they are the backbone of your company.
Yeah.
You have somebody who's doing their job, somebody who loves what they're doing,
Yep.
but just is happy with doing their job.
Yeah.
And we should empower them within that by finding a way for them to communicate this also.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, they're, you know, I'm their supervisor, you know, they're this lowly person. So it's communication and understanding of this.
Yeah. And yeah, I also realized that it's very important to have a two-way communication rather than the one-way. And that's why I encourage team to speak up each other and try to point out whatever they feel is not right, or they feel is could be better, or they could do something better. But as a Myanmar culture, they are afraid to talk to their superior or their manager in up to certain extent, I think.
Yeah, well, again, this depends on the empowerment. You know, because if this has been drilled down to my partner, he was a hotel general manager in Myanmar. And, you know, if he was on this call, he would be telling you, no, you're wrong. You know,
Okay.
he would, you know, I know he has very strong views about this.
Okay.
And because he always empowered his heads of department to make the decision, okay, and to question him as a general manager.
Okay.
And this is not, you know, this is a foreigner 12 years ago in Myanmar, when people were normally listen, look at school, you go to school, you take notes. I've been in the school, you know, where the books about 10 years ago, it would say, this is, I was in one lesson, this is a chair. And I said, no, that's a table. The book was wrong, you know?
Yep.
And everybody said, no, that's a table. And I said, and I'm saying to the teacher, no, this is a table. This is not a chair. And everybody said, no, this is a table. This is not a chair. So we really have to know, just because your manager is a manager, they're not always right. Just because you are being told this. And even within the culture, I understand the Myanmar culture very well. And if people have had the training, the empowerment, and they are open, if they're not open, nothing you say will ever make a difference, because they are in their box.
Yep.
Only when you start to soften the box and say, okay, let's question, you know, let's question this, and also make sure you have the answer.
Understand.
Yeah, it can change.
Can change, yeah.
But it takes strong people to enable people to be, you know, if you are not afraid, like for myself, anybody can ask me anything.
Yep.
If I know the answer, I will tell. And also if I have my idea, I will give an answer. No, I'm not saying that I'm 100% right. This is
Yep.
just my idea, and I will listen to somebody debating. I'm
Yep.
happy to debate,
Yep.
you know, and this is where it comes along. This is what we should do.
Yeah, I always do telling them that I'm not always right. So you can question me, or you can question my idea, or you can talk to me when you think that whatever that my idea is not able to implement on the ground or not able to be work with the team, then I'm open. I always open to it. Only that just come back with me with the reasonable what is that, the suggestion,
Yeah,
rather than just come back, hey, no, this is not suitable for the team. Then
that's
my next question is, then what is a suitable solution
Yeah.
that we should implement or we should consider, right?
this. Yeah, and this is where the communication comes in. You know, you have to make sure that why do you not agree? Okay, please tell me how we can do it better. You know, again, we're talking about, for instance, a bank.
Yeah.
You know, in a bank, you go in. Many times the manager would be in the back.
Definitely.
How do they know what is wrong in the front if they haven't been at the front at that time?
Yeah.
And if nobody tells them,
Yep.
how do they know?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so you have 99 people walking into the bank who are walking out upset. Whereas if somebody had said, oh, well, instead of doing it that way, maybe we should do it that way, you would have 99 people walking out happy instead of, you know, instead of that. So this is, yeah, open communication.
Yep.
And I've noticed in Myanmar, just over the last 2 years, there has been in companies town hall meetings. You know, so you have the town hall meeting where people can openly ask and openly suggest. And I think this is a step forward with the town hall meetings, that people don't feel pressured about standing up and asking or commenting.
Yep.
So that's a nice move forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Okay, but
discussion,
please
and yeah,
email
appreciate.
me and I will send you the core values.
Sure. Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right, thank you, Sia, and thank you, Tracy. And I got the question from the Facebook, like Tracy. So we still have 8 minutes, right? So this question is that, if we lose valuable customer, what are the best way to save or to call back, especially during this pandemic? So she said, please advise me. Thank you.
Okay, again, it's hard to understand the context, but we have to be open. You know, you have to look at what caused the problem. How did you lose the customer? Why did you lose the customer? And only when you understand where, why, when, and how can you respond. So again, if they want to email me and give me a more information, I'm happy to to expand it further and help them. But without knowing the context, you can't tell somebody how to how to respond. We just have to understand ourselves, why we lost them. And again, be humble to yourself. If you think you did something wrong, fix it. You know, easy. As I said at the beginning, we're all human. I've made mistakes and I've put my hand up and I said, I'm sorry, if you think of the VR that I have, the VR training that I've created, this is what it's about. This is about you have the scenarios which you can respond, and you understand where you went wrong. And the thing is, with the virtual reality training, you are able to, you're able then to make mistakes. So you can make a mistake, but you can recover from your mistake. But I'm happy for them to send me a message.
Right. All right. I will tell her and then send you a message. Thank you. All right. Is there any questions from the audience and participant? Okay. So some of you should make only the one not a chinga not a gamani ya the is really the sense of man in a migunya tamisia as she in a kuching mattress in a meaning yabashi.
မတစ်စိတ်လောက်အမပဲတစ်စင်လောက်မေးပေးပလားခင်ဗျ
Okay ပါရှင်ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါ
ကျွန်တော်ဟို beginner ဖြစ်လို့ပါအရင်လည်းမသိလို့ပါ customer relationship management ကိုလေ့လာမယ်ဆိုရင်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့
လူချင်းဆက်ဆံရေးတွေကိုပဲသင်နေရမှာလားတို့မဟုတ်ဒီလက်ရှိဒီခေတ်မှာပေါ့လေလူနဲ့ဒီ modern technology တွေနဲ့ portion အဖြစ်ဘယ်လောက်အတိုင်းတာဒီစက်တွေရဲ့အကြောင်းလည်းနားလည်ရမယ်ပေါ့ဗျာဆိုရင် AI အကြောင်းနားလည်ရမလားကိန်း Facebook တို့ Messenger marketing တို့နားလည်ရမလားဆိုရင် CRM ဆိုရဲ subject ကိုလေ့လာမယ် customer relationship management ကိုလေ့လာရင်သူ့ရဲ့မှာလူပိုင်းကဘယ်လောက်ပါတယ် Messenger လူပိုင်းကဘယ်လောက်ပါလဲနဲ့ technology ရဲ့အပိုင်းကဘယ်လောက်ပါလဲမယ်အဲ့မှာ 4G နဲ့ 5G ရလာတဲ့အတိုင်းပြည်တွေမှာဘယ်ဟာတွေကိုနားလည်တာဖို့လိုအပ်မလဲပေါ့အဲ့ဒါလေးကိုတစ်ချက်လောက်ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါကျေးဇူးပါခင်ဗျာ
ဆရာအနေနဲ့ဆိုဒီ customer relationship management လေ့လာဖို့အတွက်ဒီကိုရီးယားမကြောက်ဗျ Hello ဟုတ်ကြားရလားရှင်
Hello
Hello
ကျွန်တော်တို့ကြားရတယ်ဗျ
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ကြားရပြီလားရှင်ဆရာ
မကြားဘူး
အ
တန်တိုးရတယ်ဟုတ်မကြားဘူး
ဟုတ်ကဲ့အခုတော့ကြားရပြီလားရှင်
ပြောနေမှတော့သိရမကြားဘူးခင်ဗျဟိုစားဘယ်လိုဖြစ်သွားမှမသိဘူးဒီမှာတော့sorry ပြောကြည့်ပါဦးမ
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ကြားရပြီလားရှင်
တိုးလေးပဲကြားရတယ်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ဆရာဟုတ်အခုဆရာမကြားရဘူးဆိုရင်လည်းပေါ့နော်ဒီrecording ကိုပြန်နှားထောင်လို့ရပါတယ်ရှင်းဆရာနော်
ဟုတ်ပြီဟုတ်ကဲ့ကျေးဇူးပါ
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ဆရာအနေနဲ့မေးချင်တာပေါ့နော်ဒီ customer relationship management လုပ်တဲ့အခါမှာဘယ်လောက်လူအပိုင်းကလည်းဘယ်လောက်အရေးပါလဲဒီ technology ဘိုင်းကလည်းဘယ်လောက်အရေးပါလဲဆိုတာလည်းမေးချင်တာလားရှင်
ဟုတ်တယ်ဟုတ်ပါဟို textbook တွေနဲ့သင်ရိုးတွေပဲလေ့လာနေရမှာလားဒီ IT ဘိုင်းပေါ့ IT ဆိုတာဟိုဒီတူးစီအများကြီးရှိတယ်လေဆိုတော့ဒီနေ့ခေတ်မှာဘယ်လောက်လေ့လာတာမှ cover ဖြစ်မလဲပေါ့
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါTracy Tracy and like the sir he asked that like when we learn the customer relationship management so the like we have to learn IT I mean the technology or just learn the methods or theory how that important like IT technology and the theory of customer relationship management
okay very very interesting question and if you had asked me this 2 years ago I would have said what is IT you know so I would have said yeah this is a department which is stuck in the corner you know now the sun is just coming up now
yeah beautiful
so now the sun is shining but what I would say now is it's very very different we should all understand the digital side and just myself I left Myanmar in March when I knew the airport was closing I left and I went to the Netherlands and I've been for the last 9 months I've been teaching myself with Harvard artificial intelligence and chatbot because I really and I actually have just graduated from women in artificial intelligence so I've been working for around 50 hours a week creating artificial intelligence and chatbot. If you told me 2 years ago I would be doing this, I would have laughed at you. I would have said, no way am I doing that. But I truly believe that people now have to have an understanding, like I mentioned earlier. Are we speaking to a human or a robot? And depending on whether we're speaking to a human or a robot, depends how far we want to go. We've noticed in Myanmar over the last 5 years, the mobile wallet.
Yeah.
You know, how many times, you know, a few years ago, the banks were growing and growing and growing. You know, they were building literally every corner, every street. They were starting to, they had this national, they were wanting to build everywhere. Then all of a sudden, when the mobile wallet started coming in, they started to cut down. So they stopped. You know, they had their, I'm not going to name the companies, but they had, a few years ago, they took out a full page in one of the newspapers. We're building this many banks per year. They didn't do it because all of a sudden they realized that the mobile wallet was coming in. One side it is good that the mobile wallet then enables you to, but remember, we're human. We don't want full technology. We don't want automated chat. It was like 10 years ago, you used to, if you were in the UK, like 10, 20 years ago, you would call a hotline somewhere, and it was a call center in India. And the people in the call center would pretend, yes, I'm calling, you know, I'm in Liverpool. No, you're not. You're in India, like you're in Delhi or somewhere. And people would get angry and angry because they were being lied to. And until we have diverse chat and robotic chat, there will be problems. However, I really believe that anybody in customer service now has to understand where technology is good and where the human person has to be there. We can't just let technology take over in every case. We have to but they have to understand technology and use it correctly. By using it correctly, then it's perfect. But just because like we said earlier, just because somebody says this is good, don't believe them. Yeah. You know, check it for yourself, whether this is the correct technology, but understand the background of the technology. This is what we have to check.
Yes. So,
and also just one more thing.
Right.
As I mentioned, you know, a few years ago, you would think IT were in the corner office. You know, they were like in the basement usually. We have to connect these two together. For myself, because I really believe in technology and the virtual reality, I taught myself because I wanted to be able to link the two. And this is one of the major factors. If we have an IT person and we have a learning and development person, they're both looking at two different aspects. You know, lots of people started training online, but they're not trainers. You know, so we can't just think just because an IT person knows what they're doing and a customer service person knows what they're doing. These two are not one person. So they have to, not one person is 100% right. And this is why I did start to learn a lot about this, so that I could understand whether it could be done and where it should be done. And that's the major point. Should we use it and where should we use it?
All right.
I hope that answered your question.
Okay. ဆရာအနေနဲ့ရောဘောနော်ဒီ Tracy ပြောသွားတာဒီ customer relationship management ဆရာအနေနဲ့လေ့လာမယ်ဒီတိုးတက်အောင်လုပ်မယ်ဆိုရင်တော့ဒါဒီလူဒီ technology ပဲအားကိုးလို့မရပါဘူးเนาะ technology advance တော့အရင်ဖြစ်လာတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီလူချင်းပုံမှန်ဆက်ဆံတာလူတွေကလည်းဒါကိုရီးယား used to ဖြစ်နေကြဆိုတော့ဗောနော်အဲ့ဒီနှမျိုးပေါင်းပြီးမှဒါတရားနဲ့တစ်ခုနဲ့တစ်ခု connection ရှိမှာဗောနော်ဒါလေးက customer relationship ကောင်းတစ်ခုရမယ်ဆိုတာလေးပြောသွားတာဖြစ်တယ်ဗောနော်ဒါအနေနဲ့ဆရာမေးခွန်းဆရာမေးချင်တဲ့ဟာနဲ့ဒီ Tracy ဖြစ်သွားတာနဲ့ကန့်ညီမှုရှိလားဆရာအနေနဲ့ကျင်းနေလားရှင်
ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျအဲ့လိုပေါ့အချိုးညီညီလေးပေါင်းဆက်သွားဖို့ဆိုတဲ့ပုံစံကိုပြောတယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်ဟိုနားလေလိုက်မိပါတယ်ခင်ဗျအဲ့တော့ဆိုတော့နီးပညာနဲ့ပေါ့ဒီ subject ကကျေပြန့်မလားကျင်းမလားနဲ့အခုလောလောဆယ်တော့နှစ်ခုလုံးအချိုးညီညီလေ့လာဖို့လိုတယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်ခံယူလိုက်ပါတယ်ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျထပ်ပြီးတော့ဟိုမမေးမိပေမဲ့ညွှန်ကြားစရာရှိရင်လည်းထပ်ပြီးတော့ confuse လုပ်လို့ရပါတယ်ဒီလိုလေးပါပဲဟာကျေးဇူးပါ scope တွေကကျေပြန့်အောင်ကြည့်တယ်လေဟုတ်တယ်ဆရာအနေနဲ့ဒီတက်ပုံမှန်ချင်းတဲ့ scope လေးကိုပေါ့နော်ပုံမှန်နေ့ပုံမှန် discussion လုပ်လို့ရတယ်ပေါ့နော် Tracy နဲ့ဒီ Tracy ကသူ့ရဲ့ဒီ email လေးပေးထားတဲ့အတွက်သူနဲ့တွေ့ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျဆက်တွေ့ပြီးမှပေါ့နော်ပြန်မှပြောလို့ရပါတယ်ဆရာဟုတ်ကဲ့ကျေးဇူးပါခင်ဗျဟုတ်ကျေးဇူးပါတင်ပါတယ်ရှင် alright Tracy like I think it's time is up so I think let me stop our webinar here and thank you very much. We got a lot of benefit and knowledge from your expertise, and also like we gain like insight in the customer service development as well as virtual reality. I get to know about it a lot. Thank you very much. Thanks again for the coming, and wish you and your family a Merry Christmas. Hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance.
Yes. Thank you. Please, anybody who would like to get in touch, I'm happy for you to email me. No problem.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can send me a Facebook message for Passport to Success Myanmar.
Okay.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
တရားဆွေးနွေးပေးကြတဲ့ဆက်ဆံမများအားလုံးကိုလည်းကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ရှင်။တော့လည်းနောက်ထပ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီလိုမျိုးဒီမှာစိတ်ဝင်စားစရာကောင်းတဲ့ webinar လေးလည်းဆက်လုပ်ဖို့ရှိပါတယ်။ဒီသက်ဆရာတို့အနေနဲ့စိတ်ဝင်စားတဲ့အခါပေါ့နော်ကိုအားလိုက်ရတဲ့အချိန်ကိုစိတ်ဝင်စားတဲ့ခေါင်းစဉ်လေးရှင်တော့ဒါလေးတွေပြန်ပြီးမှ join ဖို့အတွက်တိုက်တွန်းလိုပါတယ်ရှင်။အားလုံးကိုနောက် webinar လေးမှာပြန်လည်ဆုံတွေ့ချင်ပါတယ်ရှင်။
ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်
ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much.